There is no official announcement, no clarification from the agency. Only silence stretches for weeks, and amidst that silence, one question hangs in the air. Where has Jimin gone? As rumors began to creep from military forums to the global army community, curiosity turned into anxiety, and from that anxiety, a wave of sympathy was born, unseen since BTS began their mandatory military service. However, everything changed in one silent moment. When Jungkook's voice finally sounded, not in a song, but in a soul-stirring whisper, the world fell silent. What really happened to Jimin is the question that weighs heavy on the hearts of millions of fans. And the answer came not from an official spokesperson, but from someone who knows him better than anyone, Jungkook. In an internal military interview, recording that leaked to the public through a closed community forum, Jungkook spoke. Not with anger or heroism, but with a heavy voice and eyes that seemed to hold the world. We all struggle here, but Jimin, he struggles harder than anyone I've ever seen, he said. That sentence alone was enough to tear down the emotional defense walls of many. But what happened next was even more shocking. Jungkook revealed that during a heavy field training session in freezing temperatures, Jimin suffered a muscle injury in his leg. The injury wasn't severe, but painful enough for him to avoid strenuous physical activity. However, what was more agonizing than the physical injury was the invisible inner wound. The pressure of being a public figure among the soldiers, the need to always appear strong, and the immense responsibility of not disappointing his fans had burdened Jimin tremendously. He doesn't want you to know, but I know, and I think you deserve to know, Jungkook said, bowing his head, holding back his emotions. His words, simple yet honest, silenced the soldiers who heard them. In fact, some soldiers were said to have wiped away their tears after hearing the testimony, not because of dramatization, but because they knew they had seen the struggle themselves. Social media exploded. Within hours, hashtags like #WeLoveYouJimin and #ThankYouJungkook topped the world trending list. Many wrote, "We don't need you to be perfect, Jimin. We just want you to come back safe." Even some anonymous soldier accounts in the Korean military community stated that they saw Jimin still attending light training despite his limited condition, simply because he didn't want to be considered a burden. One silent incident, according to the testimonies of several soldiers, that occurred on a night of training in an open field, became the most touching moment. Jimin, who appeared to be sitting while holding his knee, was seen writing something in a small notebook. Occasionally, he wiped his face. One of the soldiers approached and greeted him. It was Jungkook. Without saying much, Jungkook simply sat beside him, then sang a soft song, almost like an evening prayer. No cameras. No stage. Just two brothers in silence, looking after each other when the world wasn't watching. However, this story also opens up a deeper discussion. Is all of this real? Or is this just an emotional narrative shaped by fans or certain parties to maintain the public presence of BTS members amidst their absence from the entertainment world? It is important to note that until now there has been no official statement from the South Korean military, or HYB, regarding Jimin's condition. The short video showing the interaction between Jimin and Jungkook has not been officially verified. The fragmented information circulating, from snippets of TikTok videos, excerpts from podcasts, to long threads on X, Twitter, forms a kind of semi-factual narrative that is emotionally powerful, but vulnerable to bias and fabrication. This phenomenon is called by media experts as emotional spectacle, a form of emotion-based entertainment that blurs the lines between reality and perception. In the context of BTS, which is a cultural and economic asset of South Korea, such narratives have an incredibly large reach and impact. Is it possible that this story, although based on real events, has been polished to meet public expectations and maintain emotional ties with fans during their hiatus? Regardless of all that, one thing is undeniable. The emotional resonance of this story is so real. When Jungkook chose to speak, he not only delivered news, but also provided space for empathy to grow. In the harsh and rule-bound world of the military, the courage to show vulnerability is not weakness, but strength. Jimin is currently still recovering. He is not lost. He has not given up. He is rebuilding his strength in silence, away from the spotlight. And by his side, Jungkook stands not as a pop star, but as a brother, as a soldier, and as a silent guardian in the storm. This story, whether true or not in all its details, has become one of the most emotional chapters in BTS's journey. Not because of their scale of popularity, but because of the human honesty that emanates from within the usually silent military barracks. Now the world is beginning to see them not just as idols, but as vulnerable, strong, and loving human beings. But now, as emotions subside and facts begin to be sought, we all have to ask, is what we're seeing really reality? Did Jungkook really speak? Was Jimin really injured as described? Or could this be a narrative constructed in such a way as to maintain public attention amidst the vacuum of BTS's activities during military service? We live in an age where stories can spread faster than truth itself. A 10-second video can shape global opinion. A quote from a podcast can be turned into fact just because it feels emotional. In the case of Jimin and Jungkook, do you, as a fan or observer, really believe that everything happened as described? Or are we caught in a story so neatly constructed that we don't realize that we might be playing the role of spectators in an emotional performance? We need to honestly emphasize, the information we present comes from a variety of sources: TikTok, YouTube, X, Twitter, to anonymous comments on military forums. None of these sources can we claim as official or institutionally validated. There is no official statement from HYB. There is no clarification from the South Korean military. And of course, there is no confirmation from Jimin or Jungkook directly. Do you still believe? Or are you starting to see that maybe this is just part of a communication strategy to maintain relevance? One thing we must acknowledge together: BTS is not just a music group. They are an economic force. They are a cultural symbol. They are an industry in themselves. In that context, is it too hard to imagine that an emotional story like this could be designed, constructed, and marketed like a documentary, even if not all the facts can be verified? And here we as the public must take a mature position, not as passive recipients of information, but as reflective consumers of information. Don't let emotions cloud logic. Don't let tears be the only proof that something is real. The questions we need to ponder together: who first spread this story? What are their motives? Why does this information only appear on unofficial channels? If it is true, why hasn't any major media released a further investigation? Is it possible that we are all being emotionally manipulated to stay connected with BTS during their military service? These questions are not to accuse, but to open up a deeper space for discussion. Because loving idols doesn't mean swallowing everything presented about them raw. In fact, mature love is love that is able to ask, is this true? Don't get me wrong. This article is not trying to belittle Jimin's struggles or Jungkook's sincerity. If everything told is true, then this is one of the most heartwarming chapters in BTS history. But if not, then we need to be more vigilant that our emotions may be being exploited for something bigger: clicks, exposure, engagement, and profit. Skepticism doesn't mean hatred. On the contrary, it is a form of wise love. Because when you love someone, you want to know the truth, not just the most heartwarming version.